Hello, Tanglers. The chat is full for this live stream. Who do we have? Rajni, Time Fungus, Sajad Shah, Aerosol, King 555, Raymond R, Metal Pack, Nerone. Look at that. That's a great turnout for a Saturday comfy live stream. All right, I've got, first of all, I'm trying to do background music, and you know that is always a risky thing to try. So let me know in the chat if it's not going well. Time Fungus says the crew's here, and he's right. Okay, this caught my eye. What's on my screen right now? A post from Tantelli. Tantelli, he makes the greatest activities, I think. I think they're very clever. There's always there's a fun element to it. There's a viral element to it. There's an inspirational element to it, and then usually there's more to it than that. There's more to it than that. Okay, so he said hashtag earn at least 100,000 MLX in tips by downloading and then posting this picture with the hashtag hold. And looks like everybody is eligible, and this goes until Monday, December 11th. It's a picture of The Economist magazine. This is a cover story on The Economist magazine, and it says, "Get ready for a world currency." It's got a potentially a phoenix rising from the ashes, and those ashes are formed by burning paper notes of fiat currency. And the phoenix is wearing a medallion with the MLX logo, and it says "Pay me internet." Now this isn't the first one that I saw, so I'm gonna scroll up, and there's a lot of these posts, so get ready for this. I mean, you want to talk about going viral? Look at this. I'm not even halfway to the top. I'm trying to find another type of post that was similar to this. I gotta scroll faster. I mean, this is just crazy. Right there. Okay, so this is Tantelli. This looks like a follow-up, a second type of post for the same type of activity. Another hashtag hold challenge where you earn at least 100,000 MLX in tips. And this one is, how would you spend your money when 100,000 MLX is worth $1? That's the activity. That's what I'm talking about. He's got a picture of Scrooge McDuck, which is one of my favorite comic book characters. I used to have a collection of every single Scrooge McDuck comic book. And all I have to do to decorate for the holiday season in the winter, I have a little figurine of Scrooge McDuck dressed up like the movie, the Scrooge in the movie. So he's holding a candle. It's kind of a holiday theme. That's my Christmas decoration. I just put it on my desk. I think it's in the mountains. Okay, so how would you spend your money when 100,000 MLX is worth $1? That is a fun thought experiment. I'm going to well, Octo says we found something that I was collecting. I did collect those. They're gone now. You know why? So maybe I collected more things before I moved to Brazil. When I moved to Brazil, it was me, my ex-wife, and my 2 daughters that moved, along with some pets. And each one of us could only take 2 suitcases to move. It's like the house that we were leaving was gone, and everything that we owned either went into a small storage unit or fit into 2 suitcases. So that's when I really cleared out my stash of stuff. Okay, so most people, well, I shouldn't even say that because I haven't looked at a lot of the comments or a lot of the posts to know what most people said. Maybe I'll try to look now. I think that I'm going to be a little different than most people. So if 100,000 equals $1, so here's Sajad Shah, who's in the chat, and he says that he will he's going to make a gaming room, a gaming setup, and buy an ROG phone because that's his dream, and then he's going to do a lot of other stuff. Metal Pack, who is also in the chat, says she's holding past that value. She says once the value's gone to $1, it'll go even higher. Adrian says hold. Not going to spend it. I can't translate that one easily. That's Narovansoa. Hold. So Ruzalizi says hold, but then she's just going to spend as she wishes. Okay, so you get the idea. A lot of people are holding. That's interesting. Now I'm kind of approaching this as not what I would spend the money on once we hit that point. It's more like what would be a good idea for me to spend the money on to get to that point, right? So what could I do? What could I spend money on to help achieve 100,000 MLX equals $1? And by the way, 100,000 MLX for $1, that is a total market cap of $90 billion. Okay, that's not outrageous. That is not outrageous. You know, give it a couple years. Look at the other currencies, or look at companies that have a market cap of 90 billion. You're not going to recognize some of them. I mean, it's not an outrageous number. So it's a good target to think about in exercises like this. Okay, so let's get down to it. I don't have real specific, like I can't go to a house listing that's for sale and say that's the one, or you know, I don't have real specifics. I just have this fuzzy kind of direction in my head for today. This is just today. I wasn't expecting to do this video, but I think it's a cool experiment. I think that let's just say at 90 billion, the Tangled Studio roster has somewhere between 500 and 1,000 content creators. That's just an assumption, just a guess. So what I would like to do, one of the things I'd like to do is buy a lot of land, a big piece of land, and build on that land. Build a like a studio, like a movie company studio, sound stages, outdoor scenes, music recording studio, and I'm talking about a big scale. Let me show you where I got some inspiration for this. Okay, this is the gentleman here on the left. His name is Tyler Perry. And he's a movie actor. At least he started out as a movie actor. But he took the money that he was making from appearing in movies, and he bought a lot of land. In fact, he didn't just buy a lot of land. He bought a retired army base. He bought a retired military base in the Atlanta, Georgia area. And he built a studio, a movie studio. So you can see he's got buildings. There's a studio entrance. He's got a replica of the White House. Let's see. Here's the White House. And there's been some big movies shot at this studio. So I'd want to build a campus for content, and it would be available to any of the studio roster members to come and use however they want. Use it for free to make content. So I was looking for so this lot. In fact, before I leave, because I'm gonna mention something like this. Here's his house. Okay, his house. He built this house on the same piece of land as the studio, so he's all set up. He's got everything set up the way he wants it to be, and that's cool. I think that's really cool. So I'll maybe I'll get back to houses. But I started to look for land in South Florida. And it's not as expensive as I would have thought. So this first one is $6.5 million for 350,000 acres. That is 1,500 square kilometers. Okay? It's a lot of land. It's enough land that you can have a private airport. You can certainly have, you could have a lot, you could have more than one studio. You could have research and development for computing and development. You could have sports activities. You could have everything. That's a huge amount of land. Okay. So I'm gonna have to buy some airplanes. Okay, that's just something we're gonna have to do. I'm gonna get a couple planes. I'm gonna get an Air Force, if we're honest. I'm gonna get 2 planes just for Tangled Studio members to be able to use to come in and out of the studio. Let's see. I'm looking at Gulfstream G550. Let's get a price on something like this. Okay, so call it 15 million a piece on those. We'll get 2 of those. So so there should always be a plane available for people to come in and out of the studio from anywhere in the world. And not only that, but if we had a couple of planes available to the studio members, then you could think of them as delegates or diplomats or ambassadors, and we could have meetups in countries all around the world, and we could fly some people in and out of those Tangled meetups, which would be fun. Okay, so I'm gonna get a couple planes for the team. Now, while I was thinking about getting planes, here's something that I thought about getting. This is a C-130 cargo plane. This is a military plane. And it's like having a warehouse in the sky. And I thought if we got a few of those, maybe 3 of those, then we could use it to move equipment around, and that's okay. But mostly when these planes aren't being used for Tangled or MLX, moving servers, whatever we got to do, then we'd have kind of an Air Force for humanitarian efforts. So we could fly supplies in for disaster relief. We could fly food in to regions that need it. We could, it's a contribution. Right, we can get things to places. So I think we'd get a few of those, maybe 3 of those. Okay. Now I've got to get a plane for myself, and the thing with getting a plane for myself is I don't like vacations. I don't like to explore new places. I've kind of done all that stuff. So the only excuse I would have have a plane is to fly between business locations and houses. And I'm finding that line between being generous and not sharing. So this plane would be my plane. It'd have my bed, it'd have my shower, it'd have my sheets. Family only. You guys aren't getting on this plane, okay? This is $30 million and it probably needs a little help to get up to standard, but it's big, okay? It's a 737. Which means that it should be able to take off and land from just about any airport. You don't need the bigger the plane, the bigger the airport has to be, and that restricts where you can fly it to. Okay? So we're gonna do that. And it has to be so comfortable for me that I don't mind using it. In fact, that I look forward to using it, because otherwise I don't really like leaving the house. So it has to be really easy and comfortable for me to decide, okay, I'm gonna go to this location today. I'm gonna fly in the morning. I'm gonna fly back at night, and no friction on deciding to do that. Okay, so we've got an Air Force. Now, in my case, if MLX hits 90 billion market cap, for me, I can't spend that. That's just too much money to spend. So everything has to be, I've got to get myself set up so that the money never runs out. Gonna get a couple houses, and then I'm gonna do something fun. Okay, I'm gonna do something fun that also gives me an excuse to get on that plane. So this is a map of the United States, and every one of the marks on the map, that is where a Major League Baseball team is located. Okay? Now the baseball season, so the reason that I would want to buy a baseball team instead of a football team is just because the baseball teams have a lot more games in the season. A baseball team has 162 games in the season. A football team only has 17. And the season is in summer. So the northern locations are kind of the ones I'd be interested in. And there's two in Florida, the Miami Marlins and the Tampa Bay Rays. But I'm over here. I'm more close to Seattle in the upper left during the summers. So maybe we buy the Seattle Mariners baseball team, and that gives me and the boys something to do on warm summer nights. Have a team to root for. Of course, we might have to change the name to the Seattle Tanglers. But yeah, that'd be cool. And owning a sports team in the US, that's the closest thing that we have to royalty. You own a sports team, you've got influence. You've got influence in politics, in the community that you're in. I think it's a good thing. It's a good thing. Let's see what's going on in the chat. Who would have guessed that that with essentially an unlimited budget, cargo planes would be the dream? Metal Pack says then we could see a Tangled movie if we had a studio. Yeah, well, a lot of movies, all kinds of content, every kind of content, special effects, digital animation, live outdoor, soundstage, shorts, everything. We would be the kings of content on the internet. Aerosol wants to know if he can move into the compound. Yeah, well, with that amount of land, there could be a little village with some condos, some apartments, some cabins. Yeah, you can spend time there, Aerosol. There will be adequate security surrounding my personal house, so you're welcome to join the campus. Time Fungus says, buy that land before BlackRock does. Aerosol says that we could do literal airdrops from the cargo planes. QR code leaflet drops. Octo wants a party in the sky, and he'd be able to have a party in the sky. Aerosol, yes, we could play basketball. I mean, I think that there's going to be enough room for basketball. Well, Aerosol, think of the skate park. I mean, you got to have stuff like a skate park to make good content. That's just mandatory. Bora Urgel, so they came to the conclusion that a skate park is needed. SJHW loves the idea of cargo planes. Aerosol says, let's consider lighter than air crafts like Zeppelins. Those don't have a great track record. Yeah, okay. Bora Urgel says buying an island. Of course, I'd love to buy an island. The best island that's ever been sold was the owner of Oracle, Larry Ellison, Hawaii. He bought the island of Lanai. Let's do a search on Lanai. So he bought this island, a Hawaiian island, a big one, like really, really big. And he bought it from a pineapple farm who owned it, and he paid $400 million, something like that. And now it could be priceless. So there's not a lot of opportunities to do something like that. It's got to be big enough to have its own airport. It's not cheap. Raymond R says he'd donate half of it to help end homelessness. Yeah, that's as much as that can be done. That's kind of the idea behind the cargo planes. Not so much ending homelessness, but just improving lives in individual areas as much and as often as possible. Of course, you know, the bigger Tangled gets and the more valuable MLX becomes, you can make the argument that it would have an impact on reducing homelessness because it gives so many millions of people the opportunity to have an income that they might not have otherwise. Rajni's thinking about buying Dubai. But Raymond's on the right track. It's all got to be about contribution, and homelessness is a good one to focus on. How would you do that? Because homelessness exists nearby every piece of land everywhere in the world. So you can't centralize that and say, okay, here's the space that ends homelessness, and we'll transport you to this place on a private jet. You just got to get in line, and that line is 10 years long because it's an air force, but it's not a huge air force. So homelessness has to be solved in every place, and maybe Tangled by itself is a good way to do that. All right. So I don't have much else. Let me think about houses. So I like for personal houses, I don't leave the house. So the house is a really big deal to me. I'll show you some I like iconic houses. And here's what I mean. These are iconic houses. Hearst Castle. Iconic. Who knows what these things are worth? I mean, Mar-a-Lago. which is Donald Trump's house here near Miami. Iconic house. $1 billion. The one in Bel Air. That's an iconic house. That's a $125 million house. So I'd have maybe 3 houses. I've got 2 now, so it's adding 1 more. Maybe in Southern California, maybe in Hawaii. Of course, everywhere that we would have a data center, and you'd want to have the thing about the data centers. So data center is having a campus or a series of campuses spread around the world, each one of which has basically warehouses, lots of power, really fast internet connection, and generally you want to do those in colder climates. And I've thought about that, putting one on the East Coast, the West Coast, and the middle of the country, and then some internationally. The problem with data centers is they become a centralized focus of policy, government policy. Like it's just better to be decentralized and use computing power from things like the Tango browser than it is to have lots of centralized data centers. So data centers are really cool, but I don't think that I want to do that. I think I'd rather not have jurisdiction or nexus in any jurisdiction. What are you guys saying? SJHW says he would buy more houses to be offered as shared or transitional housing. So that's to help solve the homelessness. And he says homelessness will never end. It's a mismatch of supply and demand. Aerosol says he just wants to skate, make knives, and beef jerky. The budget for that is not very big, Aerosol. You could accomplish that with a pretty manageable budget. And that's one of the things. I don't know if you guys have ever gone through an exercise where it's like designing your perfect life, and you're shooting for the moon when you do an activity like that, like a goal setting activity. Anything you want is on the table. What is often surprising when you do an exercise like that, I think that people say, "Oh, I can't get close to my dream until I have $100,000 or $1 million or $10 million or $100 million or $1 billion, whatever it is." What's always interesting when you go through one of those design a dream life activity is that generally speaking, they're nowhere near as expensive as you think they are. Like if you say, well, I need $1 million so that I can buy a beach house that I'm going to visit 6 times a year. I need $1 million for that. Well, you start getting creative, and you think, well, maybe I just need to rent a beach house for 6 weeks a year, and maybe that's $10,000. Okay, but you don't need $1 million anymore. You need 10,000. Right? The whole activity ends up looking like that. And as a result, you start to think about how you can make pretty meaningful improvements to your lifestyle right now, today, without having the money that you think you need. That's something for you guys maybe to experiment with on your own. What will I offer to Sandra? She doesn't spend much. She doesn't spend much, but also I don't know if offer is the right word. What would be a better word? recognize that she will take. Maybe another way of saying offer. What would I make available for Sandra to take? She would want to travel. She'd want to travel the world. She'd have a secure way of doing that with a good budget and a nice plane. She could do everything she wants travel wise. I don't always join her. In fact, I rarely join her on vacations. Bor Ergel says hashtag bucket list. Yeah, so aerosol. Let's just think about aerosol. How much does aerosol need to make a skate farm with a nice workshop and some, I don't know what you need to make beef jerky, but let's just say a couple outbuildings. I mean, you need what do you need? 2 acres of land anywhere. Say $100,000 for land, say $100,000 to build out a skate park, and $100,000 to build a nice workshop. His dream might cost $300,000, and if he can get a loan for that, then his dream might cost $3,000 a month. $3,000 a month. You got a skate farm, a workshop, and a beef jerky factory. You know, the MLX market cap doesn't have to hit 90 billion for that dream. That's the thing. These numbers just get so crazy that it's way beyond what's necessary. It's more, and there's a big responsibility in being rich. I mean, think about Elon Musk. That because he set the standard. Okay, so he started or was one of the early guys on PayPal. PayPal sells to eBay. Elon walks away from that transaction with about $150 million. Okay, enough to live forever with no concerns about anything. And that's not what he did. That $150 million funded Tesla, SpaceX, which then funded OpenAI, Hyperloop, the Boring Company, and will probably populate Mars. Okay, so if you got $100 million, yeah, you could park yourself on a beach forever. It's not very satisfying, and so could you do more with your 100 million than Elon Musk did with his? So it's a responsibility. At least it feels like one. Rajni says that since Sandra owns Price, which she does, that is exactly what she says. She says that she bought a nerd and she owns me. So everything would be Sandra's. Not inaccurate. Yeah, so Aerosol, well, okay, so Aerosol agrees that his dream is possible for $3,000 a month. Okay. But he doesn't want to take out a loan. That's cool. But that setup that he's talking about, skate park, knife factory, beef jerky factory, there's revenue there. Skate parks generate revenue, sell the knives, and sell the beef jerky. I mean, it's hard, but it's a dream. Dreams are hard. All right. So that is my participation, and we are lucky because @10telly is in the chat. So he watched me react to his #hold activity, which is a fantastic activity. Let me just wrap this up by seeing what other people say about it. Amjad Ali, he's going to hold. Asian gym girls, they're holding. That's what we all wanted to hear from Asian gym girls. Hold. Let's see. @scam focusing on philanthropy, education, and community development. See, that's, and I love all that. I love all the contribution. It's harder for, it's in my position, it's harder to say, like, imagine what would happen if I sold my MLX. So we hit this price target. I sell in order to fund philanthropy, education, and community development. Me selling crashes the price. That's the problem. So I have to think about how to use the wealth in a way that only benefits. So it doesn't lower the value of everyone else's accumulated holdings. Makes those holdings worth more while still helping people out. It's tricky. It's tricky. What else do we have? So Bitnator says that if 100,000 MLX is worth $1, he's going to go to a restaurant somewhere, eat something delicious, and proceed to get drunk. Okay. That is a low budget dream. You can accomplish that dream. Hashtag I have a dream. Okay. So that is the top of hashtag hold. This has gone super viral. Let's see how hot this is. It's number one on hot. No surprise. 20 comments on that. There's Metal Pack. There's Jonathan Hernandez, who may have a guest spot on the Fiat League live stream next week. There's Raymond asking if it's normal for chat not to work. It should always work. It should always work, but it is kind of normal that it doesn't work, and maybe that requires a new data center. There's Simply Nikki, who we gave a shout out to on our stream yesterday. Here's more TA from Dabs, Jonathan Hernandez. There's a guy. There's Hattie Hats. All right, so let's call that a comfy stream for a comfy Saturday. And how do you spend more money than you know how to spend? I don't know. It's tricky. All right. So I shout out to everybody who participated in hashtag hold. Super shout out to Tantelli for making hashtag hold. Hyper shout out for everyone in the chat. And thanks for joining. And I will talk to you guys later.